Miigwech, Adam and Weena, thank you to all of you who are the dedicated chiefs who always stay till the very end. Wachimaswe. I wanted to again acknowledge Wayne McKenzie for the pipe ceremonies that he did every day for us. That part of prayer and connecting to our Creator helps us move this work forward in a good way. First and foremost, I also want to say miigwech to the ancestors, the relatives and families here on the unceded, unsurrendered territories of the Anishinaabe Algonquin nations who've allowed us to do the work here and to be guests on their lands. I want to just say miigwech to everyone who does so much hard work, the National Chief's Office staff, if you all can stand up. They work very hard ahead of this meeting. The AFN staff, if you're around the room, if you can stand up, all the AFN Secretariat staff, they also work extremely hard to get this meeting organized. And of course, I do want to say miigwech again to Adam and Weena for co-chairing. Sometimes it's it's a tough place to be the chair, and you know, sometimes it's good cop and bad cop, and I think between the two of them, they switch that role really well. But you know, I began my remarks on Monday with a quote, one of my favorite quotes, which is, "All the forces in the world are not so powerful as an idea whose time has come." Our time has come. The time to give our land back has come. The time has come for a new economic deal. Our time for peace and prosperity has arrived. I hope that you feel as energized as I do as you make your journeys home to your communities and do the work to implement these changes. We have unprecedented support of non-Indigenous Canadians and allies of all nations. And I want to thank all the guests who joined us this week. Julie Black, who we honored, Dr. Wilton Littlechild, who's done so much work internationally on the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, the ministers, Minister Miller, Minister Haidu, Minister Lametti. We had Jagmeet Singh on Zoom. We also had a couple of videos from Pierre Poilievre and Minister Marco Mendicino, who announced that they are going to invest in a red dress alert. That call was made by Leah Kazan after speaking to many families and advocates. So I want to acknowledge Leah's advocacy as well. But the hard work that's done by chiefs in Assembly, by First Nations leadership in Assembly, and the technicians have raised First Nations to their rightful place in the national conversation this week. How, for example, we honor our friends and allies like Julie Black. How relentless we are in the fight to defend our sovereignty, our self-determination, and land back and rights and title. And how we never give up on justice for our little ones. It's because of the relentlessness of warriors like Cindy Blackstock that the Child Welfare Agreement settlement has rightfully compensated all First Nations children and families affected by Canada's discrimination, as well as the work of our executive, including Regional Chief Cindy Woodhouse. As Mary Teegee told the Assembly during that discussion, this is what happens when we put our hearts and minds together, motivated by justice and fairness. And as Chief Linda Bosike said, our children disarm us. We stand together for our children always. And on Monday, another one of my sheroes, Cookpee RoseAnne Casimir, was honored this week for her heart-centered leadership and for being at the forefront for truth for First Nations children, families, victims, and survivors. So as we approach that solemn anniversary of Tk'emlúps, and we are aware that more recoveries are on the way, I want to encourage all of us to continue to walk gently along the healing path forward. Our people deserve ceremony and to be sent to the spirit world in a good way, and that's not happening in this country. We all shared an emotional moment yesterday as we held space for Grand Chief Kathy Merrick's call for action and her cry for justice for Linda Beardy and all women. She said, "Our women are not garbage. We are worthy." And my heart is with Linda and her family, her community, and the loved ones of all of our stolen sisters. We must end the tragedy of MMI-WG2S. We had a request to have a moment of silence for MMI-WG2S, and so I'd like to lead that for a minute if we could all stand and just hold space and love for our women. Miigwech. The Prime Minister acknowledged this week the need to be there with the community as it grieves and to put an end to this unconscionable violence. Indigenous women, First Nation women and girls, and gender diverse people experience higher rates of violence in their lifetime. We've carried the burden of colonialism and suffered as a result. I also want to make it clear that patriarchy and colonialism harms First Nations men and boys too. Resolution 17 was passed by Chiefs and Assembly to advocate for missing and murdered Indigenous men and boys and for the creation of a working group to examine the root cause and put an end to Canada's neglect. Our girls, our boys, our men, our women, our gender diverse people need to always be reminded that they are worthy. You are worthy. You deserve to be treated with dignity and respect always. Chief Kopanes stood with the youth from Onigaming this week and said, "We take our youth for granted." And as National Chief, I also want to see more young people engaged in the AFN. I want the youth to know that we love you. We want to see you live long, healthy, prosperous lives. So I just want us to acknowledge our youth and do either the shaking of hands, but let's give them a round of applause. It's our responsibility to educate the youth and communities about what's happening on the federal level. And when they're a part of these discussions, they're inspired. And inspired First Nation youth will change the world. And these assemblies are the opportunity for young people to share your vision for the future. And I also want to thank Kieran Davis, AFN's two-spirited council appointee, and Mani Shakabe, a two-spirited elder, for sharing their words about gaps in the system for transgendered people and affirming that they deserve proper health care. We've heard your calls for a seat at the table and a flag at the assembly, and we look forward to seeing that change at our next AGA. We need to work together and show up for assemblies and find solutions that achieve, as Wilton Littlechild said, the dreams of our elders. I also wanted to lift up our veterans as well. You know, they come to our assemblies and we sing the veteran song, and I know some of them stay right till the end. And so I wanted everyone to acknowledge their service and their sacrifice. With that, I send you off with love and care and healing, safe journeys home, and good health to you and your loved ones and your communities. As always, I'll be here when you need me. I look forward to visiting more of your communities and gathering again in July. Ninanaskamun Gasakitin. Miigwech, thank you. I love you.